You thought I was done? You thought I actually left YouTube? Come on! Okay. Actually, I am still done. This is actually an old video that I had, you know, in the backlog. So technically I have quit YouTube. This is just an old video. Alright, we're just gonna get into this. We're gonna go right into it. Alright, no Alright. I'm gonna try to make a long story short right here because these things can drag on, so I'm just gonna blast it. Alright, let's go. Let's blast it! Boom! Let's see. We got Ramon and
pronunciation.
Caio.
I think that's how you pronounce his name, Caio Martins. Both of these artists, really good. Lots to learn from both of these artists. This fellow right here did this drawing. This is like a draw this in your style challenge, and Ramon also did the same thing a few months back with this character. He's like really developed this character and how she looks. Yeah, both of these artists are definitely amazing. Their design language, everything they put out, their lighting, some really good stuff. The way this guy breaks down shapes is just really awesome, and the way he pushes proportions, it's definitely changed how I look at design. I could go over these guys' work, I could just go over it all day, but that's not the point of this video. Moving on! 3 simple steps of making a good storyboard. Or a storyboard in general. Obviously this is just how I do it, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. On top of that, I'm using Storyboard Pro, so it's got a camera built into it. If you're doing this in Photoshop, if you're just doing pencil and paper, you're not necessarily going to be using a program that has a camera built into it, which really works for me because I visualize things through a camera, through a lens, or an active camera, I should say. I'm going to be talking about shooting reference, doing the poses, and characterizing how to put this? Characterized fights versus generic fights. It seems to me in a lot of animation you're gonna see very generic fights. You're gonna see somebody standing there and you're gonna see somebody going up to him and being like, It's like somebody standing there and then somebody taking a punch, you know? In a very set, staged area. So I'm basically trying to break out of that. This is a lot of information to try to put in to explain at once, but I'm gonna try. Because it has a lot to do with everything. It has to do with acting and visualizing and this. I'm just gonna use the example of Ramon's character. Raymond. For me, I can't visualize something unless I visualize the environment. So I went into my kitchen, and there's like the sink area, so I got that visualized, and it's like a hallway. So basically, I just visualized the fight scene within those boundaries. And within that limited space, where can I put the camera that will make this interesting? I had to characterize these fights. I think someone who did this really well is Jackie Chan. I'm gonna go over Jackie Chan in another video. But basically, these two characters are gonna make two separate decisions in fighting styles. Their characterization, their mindsets are gonna be completely different. So their actions are going to be different for the most part. You know, you're not just going to have one person standing there and another person coming up and hitting them. That's just not dynamic enough for me. So just by the visuals of looking at these two characters, one character is more aggressive, more smiley, more playful, and then the other character might be more timid, is probably the one that's going to be evading more. So I'm just going to stick to those two simple rules. One's more aggressive, one's more evasive. A fight scene is supposed to be storytelling, basically. Or like, a fight scene is supposed to be like a story in a miniature. If you want to do it right, to build the right amount of tension, you need positive and negatives all the way to the climax, just like story. So that means at one point one character is going to get the upper hand, and then that character is going to have a down, and then they're going to have the upper hand and they're down. It happens that way for both characters. It's standard story stuff. It's my job to find interesting ways to have those rises and falls, those dips, highs and ups and downs. Alright, so what do? I take my cell phone here, take my little old crappy camera that I have on my cell phone. I find a cool spot that I want it in the kitchen. In this case, I didn't have a script or anything telling me what to do, so I just decided just to have fun with it. I just decided to do something quick and fast, Simple. Set my camera up about chest level, and this is the point when I start acting. I actually shot reference for this because I wanted it to be a whole learning experience for me to do boards. If I was on a project or something, I probably wouldn't shoot reference for it. I would just draw it out. So here's some reference for that I shot in my kitchen. Now you can't really see it right here, but I jumped like 20 feet off the ground. I was flying through that kitchen. Anyway, this is basically frame by frame. What I did was I set a video recording and I just went through the actions. And then after I did the video, I went back and scrubbed through the video, and then I just found the key poses that I wanted that told the story in the simplest way possible. Ramon's character is going to be the one pushing this narrative forward. Already Umbrella Girl is being pushed into the scene from an attack. That sets the mood, that sets the aggression, it's moving. I remember acting it out, I remember hitting the sink and then naturally sliding backwards, and I thought it'd be really cool if the camera was almost like stuck to Umbrella Girl as she moved back, so the camera's like following her, maybe doing some kind of twist as she's sliding back on the shelf. And that's what I thought it'd be really cool to have like a bunch of debris or something on the shelf that she's knocking over, and then I thought, okay, well this is gonna be in a convenience store. So she has an umbrella, right? Umbrella Girl, huh? So I thought that'd be really cool to have. She's using it as a defense because she's not gonna be as aggressive, right? So I thought, what's the cool way to use that is one, use it as a shield, and then next, use it as her next offensive move. Right now she's taking a dip and then she's gonna try to move into the positive. She's on the defense, now she's gonna move to offense. How can I do that? And as for Ramon's character, I was thinking, what's like a prop or something that this character is known for? And it's probably the suit. She's always decked out in this really cool suit, like this white or yellow suit that she has. It's almost like a standard Jackie Chan move when somebody puts them in some kind of lock or something that they're connected to the jacket because that's what they're using to they're holding onto, and so you ditch the jacket. Along with the visualization, I need backgrounds. I personally need to know the environment that my characters are in. So a great way to do this is 3D. We use 3D all the time on Voltron. That's pretty much all we used. We take screen grabs of like SketchUp 3D images, and then we would do the storyboards on top of them. I had never started with 3D. I personally always drew my own backgrounds in the beginning, and I would have recommended that like a couple years ago, but the industry has changed so much, like, I don't know, man, there's no use fighting it, you know. But SketchUp is really good. But in the case of my storyboard, I use something like Blender, which I could grab environments that have texture and have mood and lighting to them, which is something that I personally like in my work, is more of a mood and light. But that's just my personal work, so if I were to do work for a client or something, I'd probably just use SketchUp. So I just went to the website Sketchfab. It's an amazing website, and I just loaded up one of the projects. After I shoot my reference and I've already actually visualized the space, I just use this to kind of fill that space with an actual environment. And it's important to match the reference that you shot, the perspective that you used in that reference. It's important to match that with whatever shots that you pick out of these. And now that I think back to when I said that I would personally do, I would do traditional backgrounds first and try to learn perspective through that. That's probably why I would, because if you shoot reference and the horizon line is up here, and then you go into 3D and you think, oh, that's a cool shot, I'll just use that shot, and the horizon line is like down here, and you don't understand perspective, then your characters are gonna be all wonky, looking really weird in the actual 3D space that you're creating. So it's important to know perspective for that. Which is funny that I say it, because in the storyboard that I made, it does get kind of wonky, but the camera is so close in some places that it doesn't really matter. So there we're moving into the territory of, does it feel good? Is the emotion behind the scene there? If it is, then perspective and all that stuff doesn't really matter. It's the story that matters, which then you'd be getting into like Pixar's territory, because some of their boards, they might not be the greatest boards because it's emotionally charged. I mean, like, perspective-wise, they might not be the best boards, but story-wise, so everything in this is not going to be technically correct, and I knew that going in, so I wanted it to be emotionally charged and just full of action. And I have to do it quick to get that across. So pretty much everything started off as rough. Step 5. As you can tell, towards the end, these characters don't look like the original characters that I started off with. It's because these are basically just mannequins. You'll see a lot of animators do this. They'll just have the mannequin of the character doing the rough poses. And then later, after you do that, after you've got the emotion across, the timing, everything that you like about it is good, that's when you set it to the model of the character. So yeah, they're not completely to model here. Look at the frame by frame, is really rough. Yeah, the proportions are all off. It doesn't make sense, but in the end, it's just time, you know, like how much time do I want to spend on it? Does it work in the condition that it's already in? There's a section that I wanted to try out, and that's the thing about all this, it's trial and error. You have an idea and you want to try it out. It might not work. That's just the game that you're playing. So right here, I wanted to follow the knife when it stuck into the table, which would have been really cool. But the whole scene transition between this knife coming at Cam and then Umbrella Girl moving from right to left and the camera following her movement down to the floor, that whole thing would have been interrupted by me following this knife. So in the end, you really have to pick and choose what you want to do. You know, you gotta pick and choose your narrative, your speed. You can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too, you know. It's tough. It's a tough choice. This step is audio based. This step isn't really important for storyboards and TV as much because in TV you got a tight schedule. We never really put that much audio in the storyboards on Voltron. We could have, but it would have just taken so much time, and at the end of the day, that's somebody else's job. But I thought it'd be really cool for me to try out. The art of sound in animation or live action is called Foley. And I had a lot of fun doing this. It's probably really excessive, and it's probably really messy to an actual Foley artist. Oh, so I actually did some of the Foley myself, and then I took a lot of stuff off the internet. Could I find all this stock sound on the internet? Yeah, probably. But it's just something I always wanted to try to do, so I'm gonna try it out. Alright, basically right now I'm gonna be imitating a convenience store. So, got some coins here. Mrs. B, got you some drugs. Crushed it. Really hard to find good Foley. Like Foley that really sounds good. So right here, I got a bass hum. Standard, just to kind of fill up that space. And then underneath that, right over that, I just added some footsteps and some feet scuffling. Took some voice actors' audio bits. And then on top of that, I took sounds of my jacket, you know, flopping around. So it's like a whoosh sound, basically. Then I added some objects falling. Then I took some of the Foley that I made, along with some like glass breaking and stuff like that on the internet, and I kind of mashed those together. Got some nice sounds. So in storyboards, in rough storyboards, the audio doesn't really matter that much, but in final animation, audio actually has a really big part in the play of impact or build up to a hit. Whenever she's stabbing that umbrella, if I didn't have the stabbing sounds, it probably wouldn't register as clearly. Music has a really big factor in that too. If you don't have music, it can be really dynamic sometimes. You can really focus on the sounds and the tension that it makes. And then as soon as you add music, it adds like a completely different feel to it. On top of all that, on top of the Foley, I added a song that I made, and it kind of fit. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting how it kind of changed the mood of it. So yeah, there you have it. That's three easy steps of creating a storyboard. Thank you guys for letting me use your OC characters. Original character. Skillshare is my sponsor. And if you want to go check out Skillshare, you can just go to one of my other videos and watch a better outro than this one. So if you like